Hey guys, and welcome back to Dynasty Talk. Today I'm going to talk to you about some running backs that you can sell high on and get some value back for your team. Now, this is by no means saying that these are bad players, but just that their value is, I believe, at the ceiling right now. So if you could trade them now and better your team, you'll be better off for it. The first player on my list, Javonte Williams for Denver. Now, he's RB5 in Dynasty rankings. My only problem with Javonte Williams is that we have yet to see him put a full season together. They just traded for Russell Wilson. Now, hashtag let Russ cook is going to be on the minds of the ownership and the coaching staff in Denver. They just paid him a boatload of money to come in and save the franchise. Now, I'm not saying that he's not going to be productive, but is he going to be RB5 in fantasy this year? That's hard to see. Now, he is young and he has tremendous value, so you should be able to trade him and get quite a bit back. The second guy on the list is Austin Eckler. Now, I really liked this guy 3 years ago. He was one of my sleepers, and boy, did he pop. The injury 2 years ago definitely was a hindrance, but he's still a very successful running back. But he's getting a little older, and so they drafted Isaiah Spiller. Now, Isaiah Spiller is 20 years old. He's a big body. Reminds me a lot of A.J. Dillon. I just don't know if he has that killer instinct, that Mamba mentality that you're looking for a running back to take over the game. But he can grow into that, and I really like what I'm seeing from Isaiah Spiller. I just think that Austin Eckler is kind of getting towards the end of his rope in terms of growth, and when you stop growing, you start going backwards. I would trade Austin Eckler right now and try to get a haul for him and make my team better elsewhere. The next player on my list is a fantasy stud for many years in Minnesota, Dalvin Cook. Now, Alexander Mattison behind him has been very successful in the same offense, putting up comparable numbers. Dalvin Cook is definitely a hero, and with his younger brother in the league now, hopefully we'll see them play against each other. Dalvin Cook is just getting up there in age, and when you start getting to that 27 years old, it's kind of time to sell him at peak value. It's only downhill from here. Now, Dalvin Cook will likely have a very successful year this year, but when the injuries start coming, especially at advanced age, if you can get a haul for Dalvin Cook now, it's definitely an option to take. The next guy on my list, Alvin Kamara. Now, he's going to play this year, and they're waiting for the court case later on this year to see what happens. Now, his suspension isn't likely to come until next year. This is really the last year for his fantasy production. It's really going to be interesting to see what that offensive line looks like. Now, Trevor Penning definitely is an animal. It's going to be a very solid piece on the offensive line. I just don't know if the yardage totals are going to be there. He hasn't been the same back since Drew Brees retired. Alvin Kamara is Dynasty running back 12, by the way. The next guy on my list, Travis Etienne, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, he was a first-round pick last year, but then suffered a Liz Frank injury. Now, you have to bolt their foot back together. It's not really a great injury to have if you're a running back. I really like James Robinson, as I've mentioned before. I've seen him do it year over year. It'll be interesting to see how they incorporate Travis Etienne into the offense. I just don't know that he's really going to live up to RB13 level. If you can find somebody in your league that's high on Travis Etienne and parlay him and his value into a trade to make your team better, I highly suggest it. The next guy on this list has been the King Henry. Derrick Henry is RB14. He is a very good running back with a very good offensive line. Tannehill has leaned on him for many years. Now, coming out of Alabama, there were a lot of question marks. Are Alabama running backs busts? And it really took a year and a half for Derrick Henry to really realize that he's 6'4", 260 pounds, and is faster than everybody on the field. But since then, he has been dominant, very dominant. So I believe right now at 28 years old, it's not really peak value, but he does have quite a bit of value left, and I'm not sure that it's going to be any higher than it is right now. If there's a guy who's one running back away, definitely try to unload some of his first-round picks and or other talent to your team. If you can go get a couple of these stud rookie running backs from this year's draft, go out and do it. If you can get some wide receivers, something to fill your roster. Every roster is different. You got to find pieces that fit your needs and your roster construction. But always have a plan when you're going into trades. Know who you're looking for and know who you're wanting to trade. It's okay to say no. Don't feel pressured into any trade. It's really not that deep. The next guy on my list is a rookie that I've already made a video about that I'm just questioning his ability. Now, he transferred to Michigan. Ken Walker, the third. I don't know if he's going by the third. It was Kenneth Walker. Now it's Ken Walker. I don't really know. But He's a little undersized at the running back position. Not to say that he can't be successful, but he's going second overall in rookie drafts most of the time. I mean, that's tremendous value. Now you look at that offense and you look at that offensive line, and it's going to be hell up there. If somebody's willing to buy Kenneth Walker, go ahead and sell him to him. I'm not saying that he can't be successful again, but I really like what I'm seeing out of Travis Homer, and that's a guy who's going to take touches away from Rashad Penny. And if Ken Walker starts the season a little banged up and isn't out on the field, you could see Travis Homer taking a lot of the touches, a lot like undrafted free agent Chris Carson did from Rashad Penny. The last guy on my sell high list, I think this guy's stock is plummeting. I mean, even by the time I post this video, I'm sure it's already been out there. Brian Robinson Jr. is stealing his spotlight. The next guy on my list is Antonio Gibson for the Washington Commanders. He's currently Dynasty running back 19. I believe last year he was Dynasty running back 8 or 7. I really don't like what I've seen from the guy. He doesn't have any cutting ability. He's a one-cut back. He goes to the line. He goes where he's supposed to. He doesn't quite have the vision. There just isn't that aggressiveness that you hope to see. I mean, running full speed into linebackers, you just don't see it, the flashes we saw in our rookie season. If you can move off of Antonio Gibson, find somebody who really believes in the guy. I don't know if there'll be many of those people left, but if you can get anything for Antonio Gibson, trade him now. I'm telling you, halfway through the season, his value will be almost nothing. Now, some of the guys that you should target when you're trading down from these upper tier backs, I definitely love A.J. Dillon. I've spoken about him ad nauseum. In my Dynasty startup 2 years ago, I took him in the 6th round. I really believe in this kid. Big body back. He's going to be taking more and more of the target share and the touch share away from Aaron Jones. Not that Aaron Jones isn't more valuable. I think they'll both be on the field, but Aaron Jones will be flexed out into the slot. And you'll see a lot of single back, 2-back sets. It's going to be really interesting to see, but I really like what I'm seeing from A.J. Dillon. I mean, go out and get him. He's definitely worth him plus for anybody that I listed on here. Next guy on the list, also been raving about, Josh Jacobs. He is determined to get paid. He didn't get his 5th-year option extended by Las Vegas, so he's going to be an angry runner. McDaniels is going to let him run as many carries as he wants. He could touch the ball 300 times this year. He's going to score touchdowns. He is going to be a fantasy viable running back. Next guy on the list, rookie James Cook, brother of an aforementioned Dalvin Cook. Really like what I see out of him. He's 5'11", 200 pounds. Definitely has great vision and great hands. Arguably one of the best pass-catching running backs coming out in this draft. Really like him, especially where he lands. There's not a whole lot of pressure. They're going to lean on Devin Singletary. Zach Moss can still take some of those tough goal line touches. But between the 20s, very productive yardage situations for James Cook. James Cook is currently RB28. The next guy on my list, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He is currently Dynasty running back 29. Now, I know there's been a whole lot of conversation about them signing Ronald Jones. Isaiah Pacheco has turned eyes and heads all over training camp, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the guy. All right, they invested a 1st-round pick into him, and he has been successful when he's been able to be healthy. The only concern about Clyde Edwards-Helaire is his injury history. Now, if he misses any significant time this year, you can just call him done. I mean, it is what it is at this point. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is definitely a fantasy option, and I believe that he has put in the work in the offseason to stay healthy. Now, it'll be a bit of a committee role, but I think RB29 in dynasty value is definitely far off. I think he could be Dynasty 15 to 20, which you're getting some extra spots there. And if you can get Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a 2nd-round pick for trading Antonio Gibson, go out and do it. You'll be happy in the long term. The next guy on the list, he's been hyped up all over the place, Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is the backup for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Zeke, ever since he got paid, has not been as productive as the Cowboys have wanted him to be, but Tony Pollard is definitely a guy. When you see him in the game, in the receiving game, in the backfield, it doesn't matter. He's a productive player. He's currently RB31. He's 25 years old. He's going to be productive. I keep saying the same things. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Just go out and get the guy. The next guy on my list is Dameon Pierce out of Florida. I've been trying to sing the praises of this guy all year. I'm telling you, he's the second coming of Marshawn Lynch. He is beast mode. He will run through people. He is an angry runner and an alpha male. I'm telling you, they didn't use him right at Florida. He is going to be an RB1 this year. And right now, he's Dynasty RB39. So if you can go out and get him at that kind of value, if somebody's willing to trade him, I mean, if you can trade an Alvin Kamara for a first-round pick and Dameon Pierce, I mean, that's a high asking price, but negotiate from there. But if you can get that kind of value, go get Dameon Pierce. I mean, he is a stud. All right, you're not going to regret it. He is a force of nature, and he is a man to be reckoned with. The next guy on this list is a backup for a guy above, Isaiah Spiller. Now, Isaiah Spiller backs up Austin Eckler in LA. Austin Eckler is a very productive back. He wasn't a highly recruited running back, but Isaiah Spiller is. Now, my only knock on Isaiah Spiller is that I just don't know if he's a dog. I don't know if he has that grit to fight. You know, at the combine, he wasn't willing to work out or practice. He said he had a little nagging injury. I think he was worried about a bad performance. He's only 20 years old, but he is a massive, massive human being. And like I said before, he reminds me a lot of A.J. Dillon. I just don't know if he's got that fight in him. So it'll be interesting to see. But if Austin Eckler has any kind of injury this year, Isaiah Spiller is going to have to be the guy. And so we'll learn a lot from there. But at RB38, I mean, go out and get the guy. It's a no-brainer. He should be somewhere in that Tony Pollard range, RB31, RB28. I think he's going to outperform a lot of guys that are above him on this list. The next guy on my list, Brian Robinson Jr. for the Washington Commanders. Go out and get him. He's going to supplant Antonio Gibson. He already did preseason week 2. He was the starting running back. He was getting some committee work with Antonio Gibson, but Antonio Gibson didn't show you anything special this year or last year to think that he is going to beat out Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson was the only true 3-down back in this draft, and he went late in the draft, but there was a lot of talent ahead of him at other positions. I'm telling you, running backs are devalued, but he is going to be a monster, okay? He doesn't have crazy breakaway speed, but he has grit and good two-cut ability. It's going to be really interesting to see, but I'm telling you, he's going to win the job. He's going to be the RB1. He's going to score touchdowns. They're going to lean on him to take some pressure off of Carson Wentz. RB41 is ridiculous for this guy. I mean, he should be in the mid-20s. So go out and get Brian Robinson Jr. The next guy on my list, another guy, James Robinson, one of the Robinson brothers. I've made a bunch of videos about this guy out of Jacksonville. I love him. I love him. I love him. He gets hit in the backfield all the time because their offensive line sucks. And he is still able to get positive yardage. I am telling you, he gets hit 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage and still gets 4 yards on the play. That's a 6-yard gain. I'm telling you, his yards after contact, he is an angry runner. Now, he's coming back from the Achilles injury, so it's something you have to be worried about. But he's not on the PUP, and Doug Peterson has already liked him. He has no affiliation to Doug Peterson's system, but I'm telling you, he is going to be the between the tackles back. He is going to be productive. He's going to have way more carries than Travis Etienne. I'm telling you, go out and get this guy. You're not going to regret it. The last guy on the list, Isaiah Pacheco. Now, he's flying up draft boards. He was a 7th-round pick for Kansas City. I wanted the Chiefs to go get Dameon Pierce. Obviously, they got Leo Chanel, whatever his fucking name is. He looks pretty good, so, you know, we could always use linebacker help. But this Isaiah Pacheco kid, they had a plan. He is a stud. He's got 4.37 straight line speed. He also has a really good ability to catch the ball. Now, he has to work on pass blocking if he's really going to win some time. But if you're the Clyde Edwards-Helaire owner or you go out and get Clyde Edwards-Helaire, make sure you grab Isaiah Pacheco as well. He's probably going to end up being the second running back on the depth chart and a guy that you're going to want to keep your eye on because when he gets a chance, he's going to be productive. Now, I think at best he's in a committee role with Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year, barring any injuries. And even if Clyde Edwards-Helaire does get injured, Isaiah Pacheco will be in a 30-30-40 split between Isaiah Pacheco, Tyron Fleet-Davis, Derek Gore. So I think the Chiefs are going to end up cutting Ronald Jones. It's not a guy you need to worry about. He's higher than him on this list. He's higher than most of these running backs that I'm telling you to go out and target. But there's some value here. Now, if you can wheel and deal and make some trades and you're not trying to win this year, go out and get them. Thank you for watching. This has been Dynasty Talk with Zach Zeman. I appreciate your guys' support. I hope you keep staying tuned. Hit that like and subscribe button and find me on Twitter at FF Dynasty Talk.